welcome to the Law of Positivism podcast. I'm your host, Shireen, and I'm the creator of Law of Positivism. I'm here to help you on your spiritual and healing journey. I am a certified yoga and meditation teacher, a student of Chinese medicine, a doula, a Reiki practitioner, and a passionate, highly sensitive person. I want to use my knowledge to channel information and messages for you to grow on all levels. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode. I'm grateful that you're here, and I'm so grateful for all of you who are following me on Facebook and Instagram and just sharing in this Law of Positivism community. I'm so grateful for that, and it's been a blessing to have all of you guys to support my work and that I can also help you on your journey. So a super big thank you to everyone. And today I'm sharing a conversation that I actually recorded today as Jupiter is moving forward from its retrograde. So I'm sharing this episode together with my guest Emma Ljung, who has been on the podcast before. She was here a couple of weeks ago talking about Vedic Astrology, and earlier she's been on and talked about Atlantis and Lemuria. So today we also get into Starseed Origins, because that's something that has come up before when we talked, and this is such an interesting topic that I know very little about, but that I've been seeing the past couple of years. So Emma came on and just shared so much wisdom about this, and we talked about what a starseed is. I don't know if everyone knows what that is. We talk about the different constellations, and we get into the starseeds from Lyra, Andromedans, Pleiadians, Sirius, Orions, and Arcturians. And she gets into the different characteristics of these starseed and how you can know if you have that starseed origin. So if you love and enjoy the podcast and this episode, please share a review on iTunes, a rating and a review. And if you screenshot that, I will give you a 3-card oracle reading just for you. So I'm really grateful for everyone who shares this podcast and gives these ratings and reviews. It really helps the podcast to grow. So just enjoy this episode. Hey Emma, welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Welcome back, actually.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, this is the third time.
Yeah, it's the third time. We always have so much to talk about, and just you have so much to share. So I'm super grateful that you're here. And what have you been doing lately that have been really mindful and grounding?
Well, lately I have been focusing on connecting with nature and the realm of elementals and the fae, and working with that as a way of finding my center. So a lot of forest walks and a lot of meditation focusing on that energy. Also been working with what foods I eat and stuff, but mostly connecting to nature, I would say. It's been that kind of season here in Sweden now, so which is passing into fall, but it's been summer, and that's been really nice to be outside and in the green.
This is almost my favorite time, actually, because during the spring there can be so much new energy, and it's beautiful, and we really see I growing and like evolving. And then during the summer it can also become like I always reach a point where like all these extroverted energy and the sun
it's
and
a bit
the
too
light.
Much, I know.
Yeah, exactly. So I really enjoy that we have darker evenings now, because here in Sweden we get Yeah, it's hard to sleep in the summer. So
Yeah, it's never dark.
oh, exactly. So now it's like, oh, I love it, and I love the fall. So I think, yeah, just like you said, like being in nature is so beautiful now, and things are calming
I
down in
also
a
love the
way.
focus that comes with this season. Like
Mm,
it's I wonder if it's from old school, like you've been programmed to be focused when autumn comes
yeah,
because school starts. But it feels like
yeah,
it was warm so long here that I
mm,
almost got a bit, can the summer be done now? Because again, I
yeah,
want to start
exactly.
to work, but I can't focus
Ex-
when it's so warm. So
Exactly, we're not used to it. It
no.
got really, and also when we start now, it's like we have new energy. So I was also excited to start. We're in Virgo season, so it's like starting like this new routines and getting
Yeah,
organized. So I think that's really a healthy balance to everything
definitely.
else, right?
And today also Jupiter is turning direct, or tonight,
Yeah,
tomorrow. So it is a
yeah,
really, really good starting to the planets, the big planets are starting to move in the right direction soon. So
yeah.
that
And
is
what
also
will
very
that?
interesting.
Yeah, because I'm. That's what I'm gonna ask you. Like, how will that shift within us with this planet going direct?
Well, the big thing with Jupiter is first now tonight, and then
Mm.
we have Saturn and Pluto coming in the coming weeks. I think Pluto is the last one at 4th of October going direct. Then we have the other ones. Now Mars just went to retro, and we have Chiron and Uranus. But if we focus on the ones that I think are the hardest ones,
Mm.
the main thing is going to feel like a lot of blockages are going to lift. Moving forward is going to be easier, mainly focusing on what you do here, what you're here to focus on, work, divine work. As a collective, I think is going to be a more positive energy coming in, a more, how will we solve this? How will we get together and make things happen? There will be more openings for light to enter, because retrogrades are always introspective times. And
Mm.
now it's time to kind of, everything we've worked with and downloaded and integrated is going to take place in the physical outside world. It's more manifestation time coming this autumn. So it's exciting. I've really waited for this time,
Yeah,
both personally and like on a higher dimensional level. So
yeah,
yeah, it is going to
yeah.
be interesting, I think.
Yeah, I feel so too, and I think this is a great like segue into our topic today. Since
Yeah.
before we have talked about like Atlantis, Lemuria, and also Vedic astrology, so we're concentrating ourselves on the universe, right? in our
Yeah,
topic,
that we're
and
gonna just rein it into just the universe today.
exactly. So let's start sharing maybe. So this today we decided to talk about star seeds. So maybe we can
Yeah.
start there. Like what is that? Maybe everyone don't know exactly what that
Yeah.
phrase is even.
What is a star seed?
Yeah.
In short, I would say star seed is a human who have origins that stretch beyond Earth, that has lived, incarnated, or originated outside of our galaxy, outside of our universe sometimes. And this can come up in different traits, different karmic blockages or gifts, and ways people act and energies. Um, Many people, if you go general with starseed, people who have that feel like the black sheep. They feel odd. They might not really understand how to interact with Earth. They might feel like they're very strange. They might have gifts that are beyond this, or beyond the 3D, if we're going to talk about those kind of um, clairvoyant, claircognizant, be extra gifted in some way, or be very or if you go in the other direction, there might be blockages, there might be issues with fitting in, that are very painful. They might feel very homesick, feel like I'm not really belonging here. very much looking to the stars and wanting to go home, that kind of feeling. And that can depend on which alignment that is stronger with certain alignments. And it can also be stronger if you have, there are many I've talked to and done charts for that have lives on the Orion, in the Orion spheres, in the Orion galaxy constellation during the wars there, and also Lyran wars. I thought I would mention those to just like when we talk about the whole thing. And that can create a real kind of wound and sadness, seeing their homes being invaded and destroyed and all this. And this is coming up a lot more now, because this is kind of what we are reliving. It's both the Atlantean falling, we're reliving, but it's also other memories that come up, because, you know, the people behind the scenes are, some believe, are really ruled by and how do you say, ancestors from the Anunnaki, which are these darker energies coming in from outside. But yeah, so yeah, that I would say is a star seed.
That's great. And can I ask you, because something that came up was like, so is everyone a star seed, or is there a few stars? Like how do you make that distinction?
Yeah, I've had that question, and there are so many different views on this, and this is kind of, I think it's important for people to find their own sense of, this is what I feel resonates with me. And I've heard both sources say that yes, everyone is a starseed, because there is this idea, or this view of, which I mentioned to you, the seeding of humanity. How did we come about? And there's this story of it actually being a great project of humans being a great mix of these bigger and ancient cosmic civilizations, Pleiadians, Sirius, Andromedans, other high vibrational light beings that came together to seed us and create this DNA strand of light, 12 strands, which are a mix of all these different races, in lack of a better word. And we were supposed to be this kind of library of light, a being that could harness light on a much bigger scale than before, or that could also experience life in a much more great multidimensional scale than, for instance, Sirians, Pleiadians, Orions, who have just one part of the spectrum in some. This is one way of looking at it. And then, so that was the plan. And if we believe in that, then yes, everyone is a starseed, because then the whole of humanity comes from that kind of origin. But there are also those who say that there are both. There are earthlings as well, that evolution as we know it, that is like the paradigm on Earth right now, is not untrue. It's one way. That there's some people who have gone that way. There's some earthlings that are earth seeds. And there's nothing that's better or not better than the other. Everyone is still belonging here and being equal. We just have different sets of, origins. I'm kind of going back and forth and still working on feeling into which I believe. And I usually have this more multidimensional view of everything, basically. So I kind of land in the perspective of, well, maybe everything's true, because some questions are so big, it's kind of hard to just decide something, and I'm not really. So I'm more like kind of offering what I know, and people can feel into, well, this I think is true, and then that might be true for them, and then that's fine, So I think I really resonate with this galactic origin seeding story. I know I have lives as a Syrian being a part of the seeding project, but more when it comes to like plant life and stuff. And there is, so I think that there are star seeds here that are more. I think it's more to do with what your purpose is. You know, when there's some people who have selected amnesia, they are either so traumatized that they have shut down their memories. There are people who come here, souls that incarnate now with the purpose to really help, seed, and anchor light, especially now. I mean, this alignment that we're having, the 2020 year, astrologically, there are aspects this year happening, converging conjunctions that have not occurred for over 20,000 years. This is a really big time in this history of beings that are, it's much larger than just this here now. So there is a lot of energy now. There is a lot of people awakening and like being activated, and there's time is kind of collapsing. When we're moving into the more fourth dimensional life, time is moving quicker. There are gaps, there are things happening. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did, in a big way, so it's good. We can but it's like we can think about it like there's, in the end, no one has like the final answers, but we can have like our own experiences with it. So if I think that for some of us there is a knowing of something, and that is enough evidence, then it's very hard to like explain anything like mediumship or energy work to someone. That is not.
I think it's important when it's these kind of big questions that are. I think it would feel very arrogant of me to say that this is the actual. I mean, this is true. I know what I believe. I mean, I believe that I believe that this story of us is much bigger than we have been told. I think a lot of the stories we've been told and taught are because we are meant to be kept in this cage of not seeing our true energetic power, our true galactic history. I think a lot of what is happening of this blocking of DNA, we are living now with two strands active, and the activation that is happening and has been happening for some time is to do with us reigniting these other strands and kind of coming to contact with our full galactic cosmic vibrancy again. And so I believe that there is a lot more cosmic energy to our beingness here. That's what I believe. But I still want to offer, because it is sensitive, there's kind of, I realize that just denouncing or what do you say? Ifrågasätta. What's that word?
Like question.
Yeah. Question that kind of very set in stone scientific paradigm is a big thing. So I just want to be mindful, But I believe in the galactic history origin. Of course I do. I do. Yeah, definitely. I feel that that's true. I know that I'm not from here.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
A knowing.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, because now you've mentioned some of the constellations, and I'm really personally interested. And when you did my Vedic astrology reading for me, you also mentioned some of these. I think it would be interesting to share like the biggest ones, at least. Many people have heard about the Pleiadians. Like what are these? Can you maybe take us through the bigger ones that are emerging?
I'm so excited about this topic. I've sat here and like tuned in and channeled and like I connected, and I can feel myself wanting to talk so quickly. So I'm like, yes, of course. I want to start with Lyra. Lyra being the biggest star there is Vega, and this is This is sometimes called the womb of the universe because there are theories that partly Vega and Lyra is the oldest known constellation galaxy space in the universe that we know. So I've heard from different sources and read different sources that they say when Source as consciousness chose to experience life as separate, like humanoid beings, it was in Lyra that they started. They seeded in Lyra first. That is the cradle of life. So it is called womb of the universe because of this, because that's where it all started. And so people who have Lyra in their charts can have really, 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 really ancient energies with them. They can have been, it doesn't have to be that way. You can have incarnated back to Lyra from, later, but it can be this. And that's what you can see in the chart as well. When I do a reading, you can see if it is this origin or if it's not. But Lyra is very, very ancient. They have this from here. They then spread out into this universe, incarnating in Pleiades, in Sirius, in Alpha Centauri, in Andromeda, and everywhere, and Earth. So typical of Lyrans, they are feline. Cat-like lion beings, huge golden fur. There is another feline race that's called Pleiadians. They are not from Lyra. People might mistake them. They are white lions, extremely sensitive and actually more connected to the Pleiadian vibe. But we're just pausing that. Lyrans are very fiery, connected to root chakra energy, very individual, very independent, very energetic, fire element, like Leos would be, if we look at the traditional Leo. Now in Lyra, they are quite connected to the masculine typical energy, divine masculine, but there are races there that are also very divine feminine, smaller feline races that live in trees. And there's so many planets, so it's hard to go into all the different kinds of beings, but typically they are very strong. They are strong-willed. They are physically strong. They enjoy physical energy. They are very gifted in working and manifesting in physical energies. Because they're very old, these star seeds, they can adapt very easily to new places. They fit in on Earth very well. So people who have this, if they don't have any of the other ones, like for instance, if you have Arcturian or Andromedan vibration with your other very high vibrational star seeds, you might feel it hard to exist here, but the Lyrans fit in quite easily. And this is because they are so old and they have experienced and incarnated in so many different worlds and learned to adapt and kind of integrate a different, knowing. So these are so diverse, it's hard to put them together. They want to do what they want to do. So it's very kind of hard to, there are leaders, like the leaders of any kind of group they come into. They're very gifted in this. They're also gifted in looking at what are we going to do first, how are we going to make this happen. They need to work with their physical bodies. They otherwise they might get burned out or irritated or angry. They're very sensitive still. I mean, every star seed, I'm going to say they're sensitive because that's kind of part of it when you have this soul energy with you, that you are more than just a physical being. We all are, obviously, but so sensitivity in stars is like a given. Some of them more so, and I'm going to go into that when I come to them. But if you have a Lyran child, if you're a parent to a Lyran child, you would do well to just not try to suppress their Lyran-ness because they could explode back and be very, how do you say, what's the word of teenagers that are very tantrums?
Okay.
They could be very like they question authority. They do not want to be put down or controlled. And it's the type of kid that might just feel like when they're 15, I'm gonna just leave home and go because I want to be by myself and I know best. And you know, it can also, if they are very sensitive, depending on the other alignments they have, they can also be very suppressed and not find their inner Lyran, which is very energetic. They're also very intuitive. They're very they're really skilled at feeling into when to act and not act. Like cats are, you know, when it's resting time and when it's acting time, if they are in tune with it. So yeah, Lyrans are very, very, very friendly as well. Very sweet and friendly. Kind, loyal, very loyal. They have this regal energy, lion king kind of energy. So
Yeah.
they are.
And how, like, you know, if you are, do you like, do you see that people have like dreams or see this, like this constellation or colors, or like, is there signs that people get?
With Lyra, I haven't heard. There might be that you have. Well, yeah, you have an affinity with cats. You're very connected to cats, and you don't have to like them, but it can be that cats are very attracted to you. Felines focus in on you or be drawn to you, or you can be very drawn to them and intuitively know what they mean and want. And I have heard this from different Lyrans that they really are, because they're also cats basically.
Interesting, because I want to share one thing.
Yeah.
When I was a child, like for many years, I had like dreams of like big cat animals, like lions and like they were. It was always like I was in a desert or like a deserted city, and
Yeah.
then they would come like in a flock, you know, like in huge masses towards me. But I was always scared, and so my initial reaction sometimes when I run into a cat is more that I'm scared than like I really have a lot of respect for cat animals. So that's a little bit different, but I've always dreamt about them. Yeah.
That's interesting, because if you go to the spirit animal, power animal perspective on that, when you dream about animals and you're afraid, it's it's an integration of your power that needs to be happening. And if you're afraid of it, you might be afraid of that own power you have. But there might be, I mean, the Lyran, what happened was that the reptilians, the Draconians, came from another universe. This is ancient, like so long ago, can't even say. And then they came to Lyra, because that's where the beings were, and started to, I mean, there's a lot of refugees, Lyran refugees, if you know want to call it that have fled from that war out into the universe and incarnated at all the different places. And that's part of why Lyrans are so spread out and started to, like, you know, so there can be a lot of wounds. There can be a lot of soul, Chiron, wounded healer kind of energies that are very subconsciously hidden, where, you know, that can be one thing. That can also be that there's something trying to integrate within you. But yeah, dreams of cats could be an indication. Obviously, I have Lyran alignments as well, and I fantasized and played that I was a cat all my childhood. Walked around on all fours and meowed, and, you know, pretended I had a tail, and you know, I would so much rather be a cat than be a human. Like, walking on two legs is crazy. What are these people doing? So yeah, that's what I used to do.
Oh my god, yeah. So that's a sign, and so this is really interesting. And And then besides, I don't know if you finished up
No,
around
we can go.
Lyra.
We can move on. I'm gonna go a bit general because
Yeah,
of time.
yeah. And what is like the next big one that you would say, like, okay, so after Lyra, it would be.
The big ones that I come across most often, they are the Lyrans, Orion, Pleiades, Sirius, Arcturian. That is more rare, and Andromeda is quite common. Not common, but Andromeda is there as well. So I wouldn't, and I had some requests on Andromeda, basically. So I thought maybe I will go there, and I think I'm gonna try and cover these because those are the big ones. Andromedans they exist on anywhere from 6 dimension up to 12 dimensional. So they can be very varied in their way of being. And they can look very different, but they are humanoid. I mean, the Lyrans are humanoid, but they have lion heads often, or cat-like features, cat ears, or cat manes, or noses, or something, in various different levels of it. Andromedans are more humanoid. Some of them have hair, some of them have no hair, and have these classical that we see alien looks of big eyes. Not like this extreme Satan look, but very sparkly eyes. I see them a lot, and I've heard this from others too, of very pale pink, blue, purple, kind of vibe in the aura that comes through, and some of them don't really show themselves as physical beings. It's more light aura energy. Some have wings, and they are very angelic in their energy, and because of the high vibrational energy, this is one of those that can be kind of hard to integrate if you are incarnated on Earth. If you have Andromedan starseed lineage, it can be a bit more of a challenge to live through and connect with your Andromedan starseed energy, because it doesn't really match the energy here. Whereas Lyrans, it's not that same challenge. Andromedans are super, super sweet, super kind, super loving. I mean, angelic is a really good description of the energy. They are very gifted healers often. They're very sensitive again, but these are very sensitive. They need a lot of alone time. They are also very free. They love freedom. That is one of the very typical things of Andromedans. They do not want to be controlled, and they can have, and I've seen this with many of them, they can have a real issue and want to like stand up for or fight against being controlled in different ways, like the government controls, or like, why do we have to adhere to this construct of money? Why do we have to pay to exist here? This is super strange, because that doesn't exist on Andromeda or like any other place, basically. But so they can have a real struggle with connecting to and understanding the concept of this banking world that we have, money issues back and forth, struggling to accept that and understand it. Mostly to accept it, because they do understand it, but it's like they don't agree with this thing. Also, time, the energy dimension of time for them is also another thing. It's like every kind of controlling construct that will be laid upon them, they're going to want to rebel against. Some of them might be late all the time, or might be like, well, because time doesn't exist. Why are you saying I'm late? No, I'm not late. I'm here now. That is one of the things. There's so much. They can be quite nomadic in their energy. Like they want to move around and be free in the way of experiencing things, traveling, a lot of seeing different new places, inspiration from seeing new spaces. So travel, living nomadic lifestyles, backpacking, experiencing new things. They don't have the same need to be rooted down as other beings. And they might feel they might have spiritual opening, spiritual awakening, spiritual connections happening when they move to different spaces. So they might feel quite off if they just have to stay in one place. So everything that is kind of constricting is not very nice for an Andromedan. And so they might rebel against this, depending on who they are. I mean, this is just one. Most of people have many alignments, but one might be the strongest one. So these are also like Lyrans. If you have an Andromedan child, or you might feel that there are some issues with, having boundaries put on them. They might want to leave home early. They might rebel fiercely against everything that you say that they have to and do not want to do. So yeah, that is very typical of the Andromedans, and they are very sweet, extremely open to other dimensional energies, and they might need a lot of like nature connection to integrate their celestial energies, Andromedan energies. But yeah, freedom and wanting to be roaming like they feel and not have anybody say what they can and cannot do.
We see that a lot, like in the world, especially now that people are more nomads and doing their own thing.
I mean, it's like the typical bohemian chick.
Yeah, exactly.
Want to live in a van and just like roam free. That is Andromeda, basically.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And what is the next one that you would say that you've gotten into that you feel is like a strong one?
Pleiades is a very strong one. They're very present here. Pleiades, Sirius, Andromeda, and Arcturians. But those three first are very, very active on Earth, helping us. So they are. Their Pleiades is not that far away from our vibration. They exist from 4-dimensional up to high 9-dimensional, so they can be in very high dimensional energies as well, but they have this, we are more connected. Pleiades, Orion, Earth, more connected in a vibrational way, in that sense. That's what I've seen. And they are extremely heart-centered. They are very like the green and pink of the gods. They're so loving. It's like love, 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 love. That's all that it is. Healers, very open. They're very funny. They're very, they can be sarcastic. They can be a bit humorous. They can be mischievous. They like to have fun. They like to enjoy life. They are extremely empathetic. And they can be very giving, generous, to the point of being people pleasers, like the empath that is being kind of having issues with boundaries, that they are very understanding and might have to practice. This depends, obviously, but Pleiadian starseeds generally is very giving and might need to watch out for people pleasing tendencies. They're very forgiving. They are very, very connected to animals. Speaking to animals, having messages come through animals, nature too, but animals specifically. Might hear the thoughts and like talk to animals, understand them. They are very warm hands. Like healing energies. They are gifted healers. I mean, there are many beings that have not originated on Pleiades, but then they have spent some incarnations there, training in and understanding what is the heart center, what is it to be loving, what is healing, and it's like healing is like the focus there. And they are like the law of attraction is also very Pleiadian. They are. That is like a cosmic law there. And if you focus on just finding a very loving and happy place within yourself, what you want will manifest. That's how they live their lives. They don't have to work and be, striving to achieve something from a mind-centered way, which is very Orion. If you try that in the Pleiades, you will not succeed. You'll just have to focus on, loving yourself and feeling good and all this stuff. So it's a lot of enjoyment in their energy. They're also very drawn to the physical act of love. Lyrans are too. They love sex. Pleiadians know that sex and sexual energy is very sacred, and the connection to sacral chakra and the merging of two opposites. Gender is very fluid in the Pleiades. So, I mean, masculine and feminine is kind of fluid back and forth, and you can like shift if you want, and there's no real distinct polarity there that we have here. So they know that sexuality is a way of connecting to spirit, as a way of raising the kundalini of energy, of manifesting abundance, of connecting to source. So they are they hold that in high regard, this merging of two. So it's not this darker, lower energy that it has become here on Earth. So there's a lot of Pleiadian vibes happening now. We are seeing that the rise of the sacred sexuality as a movement almost. A lot of twin flame energies are there as well. What else? They are here to, they want to help humanity to find the connection to love, self-love, and what that is. Pleiadians are very Nordic looking, very tall beings, human looking, long hair, often blondish. They don't have to be. Blue, big eyes often. Very elf-like, if you imagine Lord of the Rings, like Legolas.
Yeah.
It's very Pleiadian. Typical look. But of course, that is not an indication if you're a human here. If you have dark hair or brown eyes, it doesn't mean that you're not Pleiadian. It's the energy. But they have that kind of look if you meet them in the other spheres. They often look like that. But if you are Pleiadian here, you might be very open to love. You might be very overly forgiving. You might be very empathetic, tuning into other energies, healing capacity. Very sweet, very funny, wanting to help everyone, in connection to nature. And yeah, this is again pretty general, but still. You could be very drawn to working with healing, working with that kind of modality. I think there are a lot of Pleiadians activating now. This is a lot of healing just booming here now. And they are also very present in helping us in this shifting of energies that's happening right now, because they were part of the seeding that happened, the seeding of humanity. So they do feel that they are somewhat responsible for helping us move through this challenge of reclaiming our sovereignty and power from these other energies. So they are very present, very talkative. They're very, 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 very talkative. They want to communicate. So a lot of channels do channel the Pleiadians mostly, because they really want to. Maybe they're the ones talking now.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what, like, the Pleiadians, like, when I started hearing about these starseeds, that was coming up a lot, and a lot of people are like channeling and so that became maybe a little bit like, that's also a very commonly talked about.
It's both common because a lot of people have those alignments. It's 7 stars. The 7 sisters, it's called. Alcyone is the biggest star, but it is not uncommon to have that alignment with you. but it doesn't mean that it's your main one or it's your origin. It could be that you've been there to learn or to connect with love and or healing or whatever it is, you know. The other ones, I mean, Sirius is a really big one. This is a bit rarer. I mean, they don't have it's 2 stars, because the third star has ascended. But so it's a very high vibrational, bright star, commonly known as a dog star. So they are associated with that kind of loyalty energy, but they are also very associated with Egyptians and the Atlantis energy, and that they came down to aid humanity and you know, communicate certain knowledges during Atlantis and the origins of these other civilizations, the pyramids, the deities that were there, Isis, Ra, all of these are very Syrian vibrations. There are also those who say that Mary Magdalene have Syrian origin, that she's an incarnation of Isis that is connected to Sirius, and you know, it all goes back and back and back. Sirius is very magical. It's like a meeting place, whereas the other places have, like, well, the beings here, they are very much like this. Sirius, I've found and heard from different is a lot of different beings meeting, and it's very magical, wizardry, mystical. There's a lot of beings there that we know as mythical beings, like unicorns, fairies, dragons, other beings as well, like anyone you can think of. There are also connections to whales and dolphins. And the whales and dolphins that we have here are believed to be beings from this star system, and that they work and communicate with vibration, that we know that they do, and have the responsibility of caring for the vibration of our planet and the health of and emotional well-being of Gaia through the waters. And so they are very connected to Syrian energy. Like, being a Syrian starseed, you could be very drawn to magical stories, fantasies, Harry Potter. Yes, magical things. Yes, Syrians, they, because of their home planet or star system being very multi-faceted in this way, there are so many magical beings, there's so much magic present, that, I mean, the Syrian energy vibrates from a 6-dimensional level and upwards up to 12 dimensions. So it is a step up from the Pleiades, who had from 4 and up. And so Syrians are, because, I mean, there's very much healing there too. There's a lot of mystical arts, there's a lot of herbs, there's a lot of everything that is magical. So, I mean, you can, if you are a Syrian being, you can have any kind of look. And you can have originated in Sirius and lived there as any kind of being. If you were an elven being, or if you were a unicorn, or if you were a high-dimensional vibrational dolphin, or being, mermaids, and all these. Very, very. So they like. There are also lion beings with wings, shamans, wizards, witches, etc. You know, everything's there. So that's a very diverse place. But a lot of them like fantasy, like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, or like that, because it feels very much like home. because you kind of, this is not fantasy, this is the truth. That's kind of how it will feel like. And it's very soothing to watch because that feels connection to your heart. May resonate a lot with like this idea of wizards and priests and priestesses, especially if you're a Syrian being who also have connection to this Atlantis, Egyptian, these priestess vibes that were there, connection to Ra. There's a lot of connections to our star when it comes to Sirius, because the stars are like kin. Our star Ra and their stars Sotis and Satais. They can have some issues trusting. This is true for a lot of star seeds because, again, not really feeling completely at home. Very vibrant in their imaginations and very, very creative. They can be very artistic. They can be very gifted in channeling art, in being musically gifted, but can also be very gifted in healing. Also typical of Syrians is they want to look, they can feel like they want to look very different. They want to embody their feeling. I think this comes from this diversity on their home space, of kind of, distinctive, making yourself distinctive. So tattoos could be very prominent if you are a Syrian, drawn to that, or having a special look, like being a specific hippie or gothic, or really want to be, they hate to be labeled as a stereotype, but still they are drawn to trying to, be who they are and be a bit weird. They don't shy away from being a bit weird. I just realized that I'm a Syrian being, so I'm kind of like, right. I suddenly understood myself. Yeah, they are they're very communicative and very, very, I often feel Syrians as very mystical and kind of like slightly hard to grasp, but still, it's like they hold a lot of mystical knowledge in their aura. But it's not always that they show or share. But you just know that they have this kind of well of knowledge somewhere in there. But it's almost impossible sometimes to know if they know that themselves or if it's just, there. So, and this is not super common because these alignments are quite small because it's just one star. The Pleiades are a bit more alignments in the chart. And why I'm looking at the astrological chart is because this is like the ancient belief that a starseed soul, a soul coming from the stars, and this is basically true for every soul, but if we're just talking about the starseeds, they need certain celestial alignments to be in the correct space for their soul to incarnate in physical form. They cannot take physical form if these alignments are not there, because then they will not have their celestial origins with them down to earth. So that is why you can see in the chart, this is what the native tribes believe, the Mayans, the Incas, other Native American tribes who looked at the stars and knew that we are from here. We are not from this earth, we are from the stars. So that's why you can see that when you're born on a certain date, you're from the Pleiades because the Pleiades are here, or Sirius has descended down to earth and to have her children. So if you're born then, you are a Syrian child, and so on and so on. So that's why I use the charts to see where are your alignments, and then from there I go to channel and intuit more about and how old is this incarnation, which order is it, karmically positive or negative, and so on. So just putting that in there. Then we have Orion. I'm just soldiering on. You'll have to interrupt me if you have any questions.
Just go on. It's really interesting. So Orion is also like a big one that I heard.
It is a big one, yeah. And that is also quite common. It is quite similar to Earth. They also have, like we do here, there are, of course, a frame of vibration. I mean, you can be, I think it's also like Pleiades, 4 or 5 dimensions and upward. But it's similar to Earth in the way that they also have polarities and the other ones don't. They have these of light and dark, of masculine and feminine, of like negative and positive, and everything that is, its polarity, duality is there. And so that is very interesting. And because we have this on Earth, Gaia, this star we are living on now, is and I'm saying star consciously, like Earth star. I know she's a planet, but still. That is one part of why darker energies are drawn here, because there is an enormous potential for light to be seeded, but there's always enormous potential. There's also enormous potential for dark to exist here, which there aren't on like Sirius and so on. Orion is the same. So Orion beings are extremely knowledgeable. They're very intelligent. They're very highly intuitive, extremely sensitive. They need a lot of alone time, Orion starseeds, to decompress, to center themselves, to let go of other people's energies, because they are very sensitive. They are very logical and analytical. They want to rationalize. They are more mind-centered than they are emotionally centered. They are like the opposite of Pleiadians, in a way. But they are not devoid of emotion. They have emotion, but they are taught very early on to look at their emotional states and their emotional flow in a very intellectual way, to rationalize and to like think about it instead of feeling it. So beings, starseeds that have Orion strongly in their chart, might have issues with connecting emotionally to themselves, processing emotion. They might want to just talk and think about their emotions instead of feeling them. So that is one thing that is typical of Orions. And they are very gifted in certain sciences, advanced science, creating portals, interdimensional travels, working with grids and magnetic fields are very much Orion gifts. So they are on Orion. They have this here. They have this kind of technology, which would say, like, you know, like you see in Star Trek, they teleport. That's like Orion knowledge, if you were to. And or Star Wars or whatever. So they have this very, if you are Orion starseed, you could also have this gift of opening portals, of interdimensional communication, travel, astral travel, experience other places at once, dreaming and you know, traveling in meditation. You might need to be careful with this, because you might not want to open portals in your home without knowing and just letting anything come in. So you need to be really kind of mindful about that. But this is a typical thing for them. They are also quite humanoid in their look. Can look different, but they're quite similar to us, I would say. Depending on, there is a star called Mintaka, that was an Orion or planet, that was just water. It was just crystalline, pristine, super, super healing water. If you imagine the Hawaiian waters, that is what Mintaka was all about. So the beings there were mer beings. They were mermaids, mermen, other aquatic animals, spirits of water, and they were so sweet and sweet-natured, and not really all that mind-centered that I talked about now. More along the lines of like super sweet, super open, very friendly, very sensitive. And this planet or space was destroyed, completely destroyed. And does not exist anymore. So, and this is one of the few places that this has happened to, or one of the few, of course, that's happened to others. But this is important to know, because if you have this alignment with you, you can feel extremely extra homesick, because your place of origin or your place of incarnation is no longer there. And and it's all water, so it's very much a healing energy. It's very much, you might need water to connect, you might need water to cleanse, you might need that to connect with yourself. But that is a very, and that was also these reptilian forces came to Orion and started these wars because they wanted to get at this knowledge of portals and interdimensional, of putting up fields and working with manipulating magnetic energies in so that's why they came. And those were the ones that then subsequently destroyed Mintaka. So if you have Mintakan alignments, this can be very strong, this feeling of not being here because you haven't chosen to come here, But as a side note, I think that's important to put out there, because those were very rare. Mintakans were very rare, but they have started to come in more and more. So just important to put it out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Orion's, because there is this duality, that might also be one of the challenges and one of the issues. You could feel very much at home here because Earth is not unlike Orion. We are very competitive. They are very competitive. They hold achievements very high, like being good at something and being successful is very important in Orion. It's very something that you strive for, like being good at what you do. That is important. There's a lot of like Uranus energies in Orion, brilliant engineers, brilliant inventors, brilliant ideas coming, brilliance and looking at things in a new way, of finding new ways of doing things that are very typical of Orion. But then also sensitive, sweet, and all this, and you need to allow yourself to take time to be alone with Orion, because there is a lot of absorption of other energies when you have this. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because they are that way, or if it's this portal energy of them opening and absorbing, or whatever it is. But that's something I found, that they might need to, run away and hide away for a bit. And that's not something that's strange if they do. So yeah, that's Orion. So that one is the one that is closest to us, I would say, in the way of being. And because of this gender polarity, but also this kind of, we have that here as well. It's very important to be successful. It's very much intellectually focused, still starting to shift, but still. And that's not the only thing of Orion, but that's one big thing.
Interesting.
Yes. And then let's see, then there is Arcturians that I thought I would also want to include. And they're very high vibrational. They are not as easily connected as the other ones. The other ones feel closer, and they are probably closer in vibration. Arcturians are more high vibrational. They are more. They have the energy of teacher. They're very associated with the throat chakra, communication, of showing the way. They are here, and they have come here to aid us in this process that we are. Starseed of Arcturus they're very drawn to ancient civilizations, sacred geometry, magnetic grids, electromagnetic energies, that kind of cosmic physics, sacred science, all this stuff that is, very... Sacred geometry is a good way of describing it.
Yeah. Wow.
So they are very gifted in that. They're gifted communicators. They're very intelligent. They have a mathematical way of looking at things. They can be very like if they were to like hear a piece of music or see a color, they could like interpret it, but in a very calculated way, and like break it down to the structures of its vibration. So they have this computer like way of interpreting energy, and they're extremely sensitive to sound, sound healing, vibration of any kind is they are very sensitive to. So sound healing, vibrational healing could be something very positive for Arcturian, or they could be doing that themselves, because they're telepathic. They tune into and can send messages telepathically very easily, and pick up things that people think. They hear what is being thought many times, in a more strong way than others, I would say. There are some that do this, that have this with them, even though they're not Arcturian starseeds. But the Arcturians are very, very gifted in this. I have one Arcturian friend. She's very, I mean, when I tune into her Arcturian guide, or past self, it's like turning up the volume of vibration to such an extent that I feel kind of burned out after. It's so quick and it's so precise. It's very exact and minute in detail, very detailed. She's very gifted in memory, and perception is very wide. So they're very Arcturians are very drawn to teaching, to conveying the knowledge that they hold. They have this purpose-driven existence, that they're here for a reason. They're here to show the way. They're here to share what they know. They need to integrate the knowledge first in their human self, but then they will want to share what they know. This is like an urge within them. And if you have Arcturian guides, that's also what they will share with you what they know. They have agreed to help us in this way in our ascension now, because they are so they're very, I feel that they are quite, I don't want to say stern, but it's like they have more of a distance. What's the way? What's the word you use? They're not as giggly and talkative in the same way that Pleiadians are. They're more like a high vibrational teacher. I can't really describe it more.
Like
I hope
stoic,
that I can.
maybe.
Yeah, more like that. Yeah. And not really interested in entertaining any egos. I mean, no guides are, obviously, but even less here. And they don't judge anything. I think that's like, even if you choose to, there's a very big gap from the human ego to the Arcturian energy, a very big gap. So it will be things that we could feel as very painful and very wrong or very strange. They can look at in a very, God, I use the word very so much. I'm annoying myself. They can look at that with a non-judgmental attitude. And just see and accept what is. Very, very drawn to the ancient civilizations of Babylon, Sumeria, Egypt, because they were very gifted in these mathematical knowledges and tuning in with that and anchoring that in earth, languages and mathematical gifts and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the Arcturians. That's pretty rare as well. So I don't see many Arcturians, or haven't yet, I will say. But yes, that are, I think those are the biggest ones, or the most common ones that people are and that people resonate with, connect with. There are so many other beings out there. The blue avians are starting to come in more now. They're very rare. They're from a different universe. Blue bird-like creatures, also connected to the Pleiadians, wanting to help us in our process now. But yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if someone wants to like connect and they feel like some of this is resonating, how would you guide them to like find their root or their star?
Yeah, well, one thing that is important is that your own intuition is is a strong indicator. If you feel very connected to a certain description of a star seed, or if you felt when I was talking about a certain one, you felt this is me, then that is one very big thing. I mean, because it is very subtle, these energies and these knowings. So that is a big thing. If you have your own intuition, you can find a lot of information on the internet about them, read more about them. You can go to a channeler like me or others to have some help in finding your alignments. I have readings that are just offering you the general aspects of your alignments, and I have more personalized levels where I channel a past life. What was your being? How did you look? What was your life? What is your karmic experience? What is your influence now? And then I have different levels, and also do the portraits that I have posted on Instagram, where I paint. But there are other channels as well that do this. So, and I would say that is a good way of doing it, of connecting with somebody that you feel resonant with, as a channel to bring forward your origin or your heritage as a starseed, as a start. I mean, and then obviously ask and connect if you want to, meditate. So yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And how can people get in touch with you if they want a reading and a channeling from you?
Well, easiest is Instagram. Sacred Earth Offerings is my nick there, and so just DM. I'm working on a website. It will be done in this fall, I hope, and no, it will. And so Instagram is the best way now.
Okay.
So yeah, and I
Yeah,
would
I'll
love
share
to do
that.
readings for people. Everyone is very welcome.
Yeah, I really recommend that. You're a great reader. And I want to thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's 11:11 here, so it's a perfect time to wrap it up. And I will share all your links as usual. And thank you so much for sharing again. I'm so grateful.
Oh, thank you. Bless you.
Thank you. Blessings. Blessings. Thank you so much for listening. Isn't this so exciting and so interesting? I'm really, really wanting to learn more. I would love to hear from you if you feel like this resonates. So please just share on Instagram or on Facebook what you thought. And if you want to connect with Emma for a reading, you can get all of her links here in the show notes. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a review or rating if you have time and energy. It really means so much to me. I read all of them, so thank you so much. And let's just close this episode with a deep inhalation in through the nose and exhale out through your mouth. And namaste.